The very name Dracula evokes a chilling sense of ancient evil, aristocratic menace, and undying hunger. For over a century, Bram Stoker's iconic vampire has captivated audiences, becoming a cornerstone of horror and a symbol of the supernatural. His enduring presence in literature, film, and popular culture speaks to a primal fascination with darkness and immortality. The Count's allure lies not just in his monstrous nature, in the tantalizing mystery of his origins, a history steeped in both grim reality and gothic fantasy. The widely accepted origin story of Count Dracula traces its roots to the formidable 15th-century Wallachian prince, Vlad III Dracula, infamously known as Vlad the Impaler. Born in Transylvania in 1431, Vlad gained a fearsome reputation for his brutal methods of punishing enemies, particularly impalement, which earned him his chilling moniker. Vlad Stoker's novel, published in 1897, skillfully blended this historical figure's notoriety with existing European vampire folklore, forging the legendary Count we know today. This traditional narrative has served as the foundation for countless adaptations, solidifying Dracula's place in the pantheon of literary monsters. But what if the truth behind Dracula's origins is far more fantastical, a secret hidden not just in history books, but in the very fabric of time itself? This report delves into an intriguing, speculative theory. What if Dracula was merely a bloodthirsty monster, or a historical tyrant, but a time traveler who inadvertently became entangled in the dark history of Transylvania, his original mission long forgotten? This audacious what-if challenges conventional understanding and invites us to explore a shocking hidden truth. Join us as we embark on a journey to rewrite Dracula's origin story, moving beyond the familiar narrative to uncover a truth that has been hidden for centuries. This report will explore how a time-traveling Genesis could profoundly redefine his character motivations and the very nature of his enduring legend, promising to amaze as we unveil the secret that time travel holds the key to understanding the iconic vampire's true nature. Chapter 1: The Shadow of History. Vlad the Impaler and the Birth of a Legend. The legendary figure of Count Dracula, as immortalized by Bram Stoker, is inextricably linked to the historical persona of Vlad III Dracula, often referred to as Vlad the Impaler. This 15th-century ruler of Wallachia, a region within present-day Romania, was born in Transylvania in 1431. His family name Dracula, which translates to son of the dragon, directly inspired the Count's infamous moniker. Vlad III earned immense notoriety for his exceptionally brutal methods of punishing enemies, with impalement being his most infamous and frequently employed tactic, solidifying his fearsome reputation in both historical accounts and popular imagination. His reign was characterized by relentless conflicts, primarily against the expanding Ottoman Empire and internal rivals, where his gruesome methods served not just as execution, but as a potent psychological weapon. A deeper examination of Vlad. This historical portrayal reveals a fascinating paradox that provides a rich foundation for Dracula's complexity. While his brutality is undeniable, historical studies suggest that Vlad's motivations extended beyond simple bloodthirstiness, hinting at a figure who was brutal and savage and kind of scared and paranoid. Furthermore, despite his widespread notoriety for cruelty, Vlad III was also recognized for his efforts to bring order and stability to his principality. In Romanian folklore, he is even remembered by some as a ruler who was just and fair to the common people, even if his methods were harsh. This inherent contradiction of figure, capable of extreme cruelty, yet also associated with a form of harsh justice, means that the historical inspiration for Dracula was never a one-dimensional monster. This duality opens up profound possibilities for a time-traveling Dracula, suggesting that his transformation into a monstrous entity might stem from complex, perhaps initially noble or tragic, forgotten motivations, rather than simply being an embodiment of evil. Such a background allows the speculative theory to elevate the character beyond mere fantasy, portraying the time traveler as someone who became monstrous out of necessity, a corrupted mission, or unforeseen consequences. Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, Dracula, stands as the primary literary genesis that propelled the character into global fame. Stoker meticulously researched European folklore and history, drawing inspiration from Vlad's bloodthirsty reputation and his family name. However, Stoker's Count Dracula is not a direct historical portrayal of Vlad the Impaler, but rather a distinctly fictitious descendant of the Dracula dynasty. Granting the author considerable creative license to blend fact with fiction, a fascinating aspect of Stoker's literary genius lies in how his narrative itself functions as a form of temporal transport, subtly foreshadowing the idea of time travel. Jonathan Harker's journey from modern civilized enlightened England to the backward, gloomy Europe of Transylvania is explicitly described as a descent from the imperial center of modernity to the pre-modern margin of Europe, with the horse carriage acting as a time machine. This creates a bifurcated representation of time within the novel, contrasting the precise, linear time of Western modernity with a pre-modern, almost timeless East. This inherent temporal displacement within Stoker's narrative means that positing Dracula as a literal time traveler is not a radical departure from the source material, but an extreme, yet conceptually aligned, extrapolation of an existing thematic element. It suggests that Stoker's profound understanding of time and history might have unconsciously tapped into an inherent time travel essence for his character, making the speculative theory resonate more deeply with the novel's original atmosphere and structure. While the historical Vlad provided a name and a reputation for cruelty, Stoker's novel also blended elements of Vlad's life with vampire myths that were prevalent in European folklore. Count Dracula, as depicted in the novel, possesses a range of supernatural abilities, including superhuman strength, shape-shifting into bats, wolves, or mist, hypnotic and telepathic powers, and immortality, which are often attributed to dealings with the devil or ancient arcane lore. Beyond these surface-level attributes, Stoker's portrayal of Dracula carries a deeper civilizational narrative. Literary analysis indicates that Dracula embodies a wicked person from the past who brings centuries of Eastern European backwardness when he comes to London, serving as a commentary on European attitudes toward Romania and civilization itself. Notably, Dracula himself passionately laments his ancestors' endless duty of the frontier guard against the Ottoman Turks, a conflict that profoundly shaped his lineage and identity. If Dracula is a time traveler, his forgotten mission could be intricately tied to this very civilizational narrative, or his ancestral duty. Perhaps he was sent back in time to influence the Christian-Muslim frontier, to safeguard a specific cultural or magical heritage, or to prevent a future catastrophe linked to this historical struggle. His perceived backwardness or barbarism upon arriving in London might not be inherent but a consequence of his long temporal displacement, a deliberate facade to conceal his true nature, or even a warped manifestation of his original grander purpose. This adds a layer of cosmic responsibility, or a tragic corrupted duty to his character. Moving beyond simple vampiric hunger or territorial conquest. Chapter 2. Weaving through time. Essential time travel tropes. Time travel fiction has long captivated the public imagination, offering a powerful means to explore the past, present, and future, along with the complex ramifications of altering events. Writers employ various mechanisms for temporal displacement, ranging from advanced machines to more mystical or accidental means. Common fictional mechanics include time slips, where individuals are transported through time by unknown means, and the use of time portals. Some narratives even explore the mind-bending concept of experiencing time in reverse. The concept of temporal displacement is not exclusive to modern science fiction. Ancient myths, such as the Hindu epic of King Kukudme, or the Islamic and Christian stories of the Cave of Al-Kuf and the Seven Sleepers of Ephesus, feature characters who experience time differently or awaken centuries later. These narratives highlight humanity's long-standing fascination with the relativity of time and the profound impact of temporal shifts. Chapter 3. The Count's True Chronology. A time traveler's entanglement to envision Dracula as a time traveler. One must first propose a plausible divergence from his established history. Imagine a figure, perhaps a scientist, historian, or even a specialized soldier from a distant, technologically advanced future, who inadvertently arrives in 15th century Wallachia. This arrival could be a true accidental time slip caused by unforeseen temporal anomalies, the result of a deliberate mission that went catastrophically wrong. Once stranded, their advanced knowledge or technology, when applied in a medieval context, would undoubtedly be perceived as supernatural abilities, much like certain tropes in fiction where modern knowledge allows a traveler to become influential. For example, advanced medical understanding of blood could, when combined with local superstitions, morph into the terrifying legend of a bloodthirsty entity. To survive, or to achieve their now compromised mission, this time traveler might have needed to assume a powerful identity. Finding a suitable vessel or persona in the emerging figure of Vlad Dracula, this could involve subtle manipulation of Vlad or even a more direct form of identity transfer or body sharing, as seen in some speculative narratives. A compelling reinterpretation of Dracula's powers stems from the concept of a technological singularity. Instead of demonic pacts or purely magical origins, Dracula's seemingly supernatural abilities could be highly advanced future technology or biological enhancements. His superhuman strength, described as equivalent to 20 strong men, might be attributed to exoskeletons or genetic modifications. His inability to cast a shadow or have a reflection could be explained by sophisticated cloaking technology. The unsettling detail of a blade passing through his body, as though it is air, might suggest advanced force fields or phasing technology. His shape-shifting into bats, wolves, or mist, and his ability to pass through tiny cracks or crevices could be the result of sophisticated holographic projection, nanobot-driven cellular restructuring, or even a mastery of quantum states. Furthermore, his command over animals could be advanced biocommunication, and his immortality, a product of advanced regenerative medicine or cryostasis. This scientific grounding transforms the fantastical into a realm of speculative science, suggesting that his forgotten mission might have been scientific in nature, or aimed at retrieving or protecting such future technology. The forgotten mission itself is central to this speculative origin. Its nature could have been grand in scope, perhaps to prevent a historical catastrophe, such as the Ottoman conquest of Europe, a devastating plague, or a specific war that had dire future consequences. Alternatively, it might have been a more focused objective, like retrieving a lost artifact or critical knowledge from the past. It could even have been a fix-it mission, an attempt to correct a previous temporal anomaly or safeguard a specific timeline from an even greater unseen threat. The forgotten aspect of this mission could imply amnesia, perhaps a side effect of the temporal displacement, a deliberate memory wipe implemented to protect the mission's integrity, or simply that the mission itself became corrupted or irrelevant over centuries of isolation. The mission's failure could be the very origin of Dracula's curse. If the original mission failed catastrophically, his vampirism might not be a supernatural affliction, but a side effect of the temporal energies. Involved a desperate measure he took to survive, or even a punishment for his interference in the timeline. His notorious bloodlust, described as seemingly unable to control, could be a residual, instinctual drive linked to the original purpose of his mission. Perhaps his initial objective required him to absorb or manipulate a specific energy or biological component. And after centuries of amnesia, this fundamental need devolved into the raw, compulsive drive for blood. This perspective provides a tragic, compelling motivation for his actions, not merely evil, but a desperate, perhaps unconscious, attempt to fulfill a lost purpose or reverse a profound failure. The time traveler's actions, even if intended to fulfill a noble mission, could have inadvertently triggered the butterfly effect, leading to unforeseen consequences, including his transformation into the vampiric entity. His immortality, his inability to die of senescence, might not be a supernatural gift, but a direct result of his temporal displacement, a side effect of the time travel process itself, or a necessary condition for his long-term mission in the past. The legendary status as Dracula would then be the medieval interpretation of his alien nature, his advanced abilities, and the sheer impact he had on the region. His bloodthirstiness could be a profound misinterpretation of his true needs, or a consequence of his corrupted state, further cementing his monstrous image in history. This interpretation positions Dracula's timelessness, not merely as a metaphor for ancient evil, but as a literal temporal condition. Transylvania is described in the novel as a pre-modern time when time does not count, a time of timelessness. If Dracula is a time traveler, his undead, centuries-old state, and his inability to die of senescence become a direct consequence of existing outside the normal flow of linear time. He might be unstuck in time, similar to characters in other time travel narratives, are trapped in a repeating cycle. This condition could be the very source of his vampiric nature, a consequence of being out of sync with the natural temporal progression of the world. His struggle throughout the novel, his ancient wisdom, his profound sense of ennui could all be manifestations of an unconscious attempt to re-establish a connection to linear time or to break free from his temporal prison. Chapter 4. Echoes of the Past. Reinterpreting Dracula's motivations and narrative. A time-traveling origin profoundly recontextualizes Dracula's character, powers, and actions, offering a new lens through which to understand the iconic vampire. His ancient wisdom and cunning are no longer merely the result of a long lifespan, but could be accumulated knowledge from multiple eras, or even advanced future tech processing capabilities. His infamous desire to move to London, the bustling heart of Victorian modernity, might not be solely about seeking new blood or colonizing the West. Instead, it could be a strategic move to find a specific person, a piece of technology, or vital information related to his forgotten mission. London, as a hub of innovation and global connection, might hold the key to his return to his own time, a hidden temporal nexus, or a specific individual or organization he needs to interact with to complete his original task. His reverse colonization then becomes less about simple invasion and more about a desperate, perhaps even destructive, attempt to fulfill a forgotten imperative, causing chaos in the process. Furthermore, his surprising vulnerability to modern technologies could be explained not as a simple clash between primitive superstition and science, but as a weakness to unfamiliar or incompatible, temporal or technological frequencies from a different era, a form of temporal sickness or interference. The burden of immortality, a central theme in vampire lore, takes on a new, more tragic dimension with a time-traveling origin. His inability to die of senescence is not a supernatural gift, but a direct consequence of his temporal displacement. It's a side effect of the time travel process that has locked him outside the natural progression of time. His paranoia and seemingly scared nature could stem from the immense burden of his forgotten mission. The profound isolation of his temporal displacement, with a constant subconscious threat of those who might know his true origin, perhaps temporal guardians seeking to correct his interference. This aligns with the tragic time traveler trope, where a character is stuck trying to restore an original timeline and always failing, or attempting to make things better, but suffering immensely in the process. His timelessness thus becomes less a power and more a curse. He is eternally bound, perhaps to a failed mission or a timeline he cannot escape or fix. His bloodlust in this light could be a coping mechanism for this existential anguish, a desperate way to feel something, anything, in his endless, forgotten existence. This transforms him from a purely evil antagonist into a figure of profound tragedy, evoking a degree of sympathy or a deeper understanding of his monstrous acts as a consequence of his temporal predicament. The hidden truth of Dracula's time-traveling origin connects directly to his enduring struggle and the mysteries surrounding him. His deep knowledge of alchemy and magic could be remnants of his future scientific understanding, which were misinterpreted as arcane arts by the people of the past. Moreover, his bloodlust, which he is seemingly unable to control, could be a corrupted or distorted echo of his original mission's energy requirements, or a desperate, compulsive attempt to gather a specific temporal or biological resource necessary for his return, or the completion of his task. This creates a powerful causal link. His uncontrollable thirst is not merely a vampiric trait, but a physical manifestation of his forgotten mission, his underlying compulsion. Perhaps his original mission required him to absorb or manipulate life force, or a specific biological component. And after centuries of amnesia, this need devolved into the raw, instinctual drive for blood. This elevates his actions from simple evil to a tragic, compulsive behavior driven by a lost purpose, making him a more nuanced and compelling figure. In this light, the final confrontation with Dracula could be not just about destroying a monster, but about freeing a time traveler from his cursed existence, or completing his long-lost mission in an unexpected way, perhaps even offering him a form of peace. Conclusion: rewriting the legend, redefining the monster. The speculative theory of Dracula as a time traveler with a forgotten mission offers a compelling and rich alternative to his traditional origin rooted in Vlad the Impaler. By leveraging established time travel tropes such as the accidental time slip, the accidental legendary figure, the forgotten mission, and the butterfly effect, a multi-layered narrative emerges. This reinterpretation transforms the Count from a straightforward, bloodthirsty monster into a figure of tragic complexity, a being burdened by a lost past and a purpose he can no longer consciously recall. This reimagining not only adds profound depth to an iconic character, but also highlights the enduring power of speculative fiction to re-examine and enrich classic narratives. It invites audiences to consider Dracula's ancient wisdom as knowledge from multiple eras, his immortality as a temporal consequence, and his relentless pursuit of new domains as a desperate, perhaps unconscious drive to fulfill a forgotten imperative. His evil actions become tinged with the pathos of a being trapped by circumstance, a progressor whose grand mission went catastrophically awry, leaving him a corrupted echo of his former self. Dracula's legend continues to evolve, adapting to new interpretations and societal anxieties, proving his timeless appeal. The time traveler theory is a testament to the character's enduring mystique and the boundless creativity inherent in storytelling. It encourages us to look beyond the surface of familiar myths, inviting us to uncover the hidden truths and untold stories that lie beneath, forever redefining the monsters and heroes we thought we knew.